Today I want to give you a brief overview of where we are standing in terms of generative AI specifically. If you want, we can also talk more different AI later on, but apparently we have experts here that have more information on that than I do. Then I want to give you the latest news in generative AI. I have a general rule: if there is a question, please raise your hand or just shoot, otherwise we might lose important context, and I don't have that like strict of a narrative structure that I will lose my red thread when you do that. Then, if the time is like still enough then, because 20 minutes is very short for this presentation. It took me an hour yesterday to give a similar presentation. We will rush through the examples, and if you want to discuss one of the examples later, we can do that. And then usually I go to an interactive part, but that we probably also do in the wine tasting later. It's also more fun. So I do this AI stuff out of passion. I will come back to why I actually do that and why the passion is so big in this case. I actually work for a company that is largely in decentralized identities. And next time I stand here, I might actually talk a bit more Web3 stuff, like about what we are doing there. But I want to talk about why I am qualified to talk about this AI stuff. So I'm a dog daddy. You can probably already tell by me choosing this picture. Basically everywhere lately where I have to put an avatar. My title is developer evangelist. That means I have an engineering background. I'm a backend developer. I do a lot of front-end stuff lately. And I like to talk kind of a lot. So I became a developer evangelist, meaning I make sure that everyone who wants to work with the products of the company that I work for has everything they need in terms of materials, libraries, whatever might be connected to that. And as I mentioned already, I am obsessed with generative AI. You can find me on the socials everywhere. The software I used for this presentation didn't allow me to put icons there. I need to fiddle with it a little bit more, so you find me on Twitter, LinkedIn, GitHub, on a website. Most of these are at the moment empty, work in progress, and I will come back to this. You can already memorize it. Generative AI is actually around for quite some time already. So we had the first iterations of conversational interfaces and some kind of like chatbot already in the 1960s. And then there were a lot of like specific purpose AIs that were basically always around. There was always a company that does AI for X and stuff, and a couple of years there was a report, I have to look it up from when and from whom it actually was, that kind of pointed out that 90% of companies that are working with AI are actually, in the best case, working with some kind of machine learning models. And that's a little bit less of complexity than actual AI, depending on the definition you follow there. And most of them didn't even do that. They applied some very basic statistics to a problem, or not even that. Maybe in some cases there were a couple of students sitting there typing answers. The whole thing, what we like perceive since end of last year as the AI boom basically, started kind of with generative adversarial networks in 2014 and kind of like took a skyrocketing approach when Google released this paper about transformers in 2017, because the transformer model is behind everything that we nowadays call a GPT. There's GPT for everything, right? A generative pre-trained transformer. That's the T in there. Then OpenAI, of course, is the poster child for this whole thing, and we have a lot of conversational interfaces everywhere, and it booms, and it's here to stay. ChatGPT first and foremost, and that kind of like kicked off like the whole explosion. Not sure you have heard about this. This thing like pulverized any other record in user adoption when this was released. They had, after 1 month, 100 million users. And there's nothing else coming even close to that. I think...
Question,
yes.
Single users or repackaged users?
That's a good question, I don't know. We can find out. There are many reports on that. I think after 2 months they had 200 million, so they are like far, far beyond even this, like the second one. That's a very good question. I will need to look that up. And I was one of them. I'm also a paying customer, happily actually. That has also a longer story where I think that I first thought 20 bucks would be kind of a lot for a nice toy, but it's worth it for me, definitely. And for most people who play with it as well. And
sorry, question.
Yes.
What's the main difference to the
availability. That's it.
So you're
That's
always
it.
able to use it?
Yes, I didn't have any hiccups yet. I had this discussion yesterday. Apparently, like free users still have problems with availability. No? Okay, yeah, I was also not aware of that. Yesterday someone told me they have. And since I'm a paying user, no problems at all. And also GPT-4 access. Not sure this is for free users yet. And there's a huge difference in precision of the answers. So for the GPT-4 access alone, I would go with ChatGPT. I also, of course, I'm a developer. I have my earliest API key for Open APIs, I think, from July last year. So I was playing around with it when GPT-3 was kind of released, and then it really was just a nice toy back then. But the chat interface is a horrible UX from like what OpenAI gives us, but it's still better than directly working with the API, because there's a lot of things that you need to take care of in terms of preserving conversations, but also not letting them like grow too big and everything. There are probably like startups out there who already take care of the usability stuff of this, but this is a good first step for me. Yes, please.
Do you use ChatGPT to write any of your code? And if not, what else do you use it for?
I did use ChatGPT to write a significant amount of code. Yes.
And did you write a policy up, or did you have to go in and like edit?
I had to basically touch every single line.
Okay.
I enjoyed every single line I had to touch. And this is basically why I'm standing here. I was kind of blocked for a while, and I wanted to come to that a little bit later, but I can already give a preview on that. I was blocked for a while. I did my job. I can work with code like in the office every day I want, but I had for all of my adult life at least always side projects as a developer, just to learn, right? And I didn't do that for at least 2 years. And it like deeply frustrated me, because at some point in my life I learned to like put myself into flow state kind of quickly when I start developing. And I missed that. That's my meditation. And I did not have that for years, and that kind of like leaves you in a very, very dark mental place. And now I'm back, thanks to that, and this is why I'm so passionate about that.
I think there's one more thing. Yesterday I was trying AutoGPT, and on their GitHub page it was mentioned that we need a premium GPT account, ChatGPT account. Like you can use their keys only, not the free version.
Okay.
Maybe that's another.
I mean, when you have the API keys and you have a developer account, you need to put payment data anyway, and then they charge you on a per usage basis.
Yeah, means for free, I think it was not allowed.
Yeah.
Because I tried, it was keep thinking, and
Yes, probably yes. But I had my API keys already, because I played around with it a lot. And one of the reasons why I think the $20 are not as much, I had a very long conversation with it at one point. Like ChatGPT has a token limit of 8,000-ish or so, and one of the actual API available models has a token limit. Token is roughly a word of 32,000 tokens. And I had a conversation with ChatGPT that hit that limit. And this conversation alone cost me like $5 within 2 hours or so. And this is one of the moments where I thought, $20 is maybe not that much for the chat interface. Okay, so I will rush from here because I'm like already falling behind. In the rise of ChatGPT, the whole landscape of AI tools exploded. There were a lot of people who were working on AI stuff already before, and I looked up a couple of like landscape graphics, and those are from Sequoia. This was in October, so pre-GPT 3.5, but this is roughly equivalent to what most people call ChatGPT. And this was October, and this was November, so basically when it started. And today I looked up what VentureBeat says about the AI startup landscape, and this looks like this. And probably today this already like grew by 10% already again. I didn't even look what's in there, so I don't know, we can discuss this later. This is just to give it like a wow impression. It's like, oh shit. Personally, I go with the big ones. So I use Midjourney. Almost all of the pictures that are not logos in this presentation are generated by Midjourney. I'm also their paying customer because that allows me commercial usage. I do not make money with this stuff here, so I'm kind of safe anyway, but I like also Midjourney, especially since version 5 was released. ChatGPT we talked about, and as a developer, GitHub Copilot is a no-brainer. It's a great tool. There's so much coming with GitHub Copilot X. It's amazing. And I happen to be in developer relations, as I probably already mentioned, or some people like associate the developer evangelist title with this category of people who are running around, so I relate with developers because I'm one myself. This is also a description from ChatGPT, and as a developer relations practitioner, I'm in the sweet spot of exactly like those three tools. So I do code, I do visuals-ish, and I do a lot of text. Like I'm kind of like a developer marketer combination, and I'm right in the middle of everything that's great with these tools at the moment. So yay, AI, cool, but also not so much. And you can see here with the reference colors that it was produced by another AI called DALL-E with a feature called in-painting. Also happily discussing that. Because like with all the power those tools give us comes a lot of like responsibility. There was, when I created this presentation, there was this one picture that was on the DevRel slide, and it took me more than 20 attempts to actually get to a picture of a woman who looks like standing on stage. Every other picture looked like a woman asking a question from the audience. When I removed the request for a woman and just someone on stage, it was always a man, always clearly standing on stage. Even when I asked for a robot on stage, clearly on stage. And this is a very easy to spot bias. There's plenty of other bias in there. That means we need to have a look at everything this stuff produces. Never ever blindly take what AI produces at this point in time, or without like putting measures in there to like fine tune it, to have your own safeguards, sanity check everything anyway. So that's like my golden rule. Touch everything, every line of code, at least also to learn and understand, right, what was produced there. And yeah, so the biases are a big problem, and of course, I just had this discussion at work. I cannot use that. I work for a company with a lot of like security regulation around it, and tools like Copilot send huge amounts of data to the API on an American server. So I'm not allowed to use it there, otherwise my security people will hunt me down. Then there's also the legal problem. I think we will dive deeper into that later. So you might actually accidentally or intentionally infringe someone's copyrights just because it's so easy. And that can come with the consequence of you actually taking business away from small artists, kind of. Not only small artists, but also developers. Maybe they're like also perceived as artists. And for me, ChatGPT and those other tools are primarily a rubber duck. So you're not the developer audience. Usually there are a couple of people who like know what rubber ducking is. Okay? Anyone else knows what rubber ducking is? Okay. So I have a little rubber duck on my desk, and every time I face a problem and I get stuck, I take it and I explain my problem to it. And that puts me in the mental space of solving it myself, kind of. And that's the concept of rubber ducking. Now I have a rubber duck that can actually give me new impulses and can point me in new directions. And we had this discussion when I arrived about being introvert or extrovert, and I'm an ambivert. That means I enjoy standing on stage, talking about stuff I'm passionate about, sometimes not so passionate about, and I'm also like happily socializing later with everyone, but I need my time off. I need to be in flow state, basically. I need code, because that's where meditation is mentioned, and I don't want to talk to anyone there. But now I have actually something I can talk to that also gives me answers, and will not hold a grudge when I just cut the conversation when I want to focus on something else. So that's my rubber duck. I think I should make this golden, because this is my golden rubber duck. This is not too interesting for us now, so I like talk a lot of using this stuff as personal assistant for oneself, but of course there's this next step to integrate this into the services and products that you build and sell, right? That would be like the next step. In conclusion, we should all praise our new AI overlords, in case they watch the recording later, hi. But they're not there yet. That will take a while, and you really need to have a look at everything they create. I cannot stress that point enough. There is already a new profession coming up, actually, that is specifically there for helping our new AI overlords taking over at some point, which is prompt engineering. Anyone heard of prompt engineering? Okay, yeah, that's already good. Those are rumored to pay very good. I read numbers like 300-ish K when you're really good at what you're doing. There are also prompt marketplaces, paid and free ones for all of the big tools. So there's like already an industry, a secondary or tertiary, I don't know, industry developing around that. But as with, and that's probably thin ice, as with crypto, we are in a hype cycle, right? And crypto, at the moment, with the crypto winter, is probably somewhere here or here, and AI is more like somewhere there. But I think we did not even reach the peak yet. So there's a lot more to come, a lot. Latest news in AI, in case you did not follow most of it. So we have Microsoft about to release Copilot for Microsoft 365. That is basically an AI tool in every single tool of the Office suite. We have GitHub Copilot X, so a GitHub tool, an AI GitHub tool for every single step in the development and DevOps lifecycle. We had Llama leaked. Has anyone heard of Llama? That's the large language model from Meta, from Facebook basically, and that got leaked the moment they announced it in some torrent. So they sold access to some scientific institutions, so some people actually had legal access, but a lot of people kind of just got their hands on it, and from there they spawned like the first true secondary large language models. Alpaca was trained on Llama with conversations with ChatGPT on $600 hardware at the Stanford University. So it's literally created from 2 other large language models. And the same, went for Dolly, which was built by Databricks, big company in the cloud space. And version, they also trained it on Llama. Now it's actually fully commercially available. We have rumors that GPT-5 is already in training. Those rumors were already denied by Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI. Not sure who to trust there. There were requests for a 6-month pause on development on any AI model that is more capable than GPT-4. There was also no follow-up on that yet. It's just a petition. Last week, Alibaba launched their first large language model. ChatGPT specifically got banned in Italy. Ban was lifted again, so there will be a lot more local regulation intervening. We have OpenAI rumors, at least about OpenAI working on a humanoid robot. That reminds me of the robot from Tesla. And funny enough, Elon Musk bought tens of thousands of GPUs to train their own AI model with a company called X.AI that is going to be called Truth GPT, with the mission of a maximum truth-seeking AI. And I'm thinking Skynet, kind of, when I hear that. Skynet?
Who determines what's true?
Sorry?
If Elon Musk is determining the truth, like he's saying it's truth GPT, who determines the truth? Truth is not universal.
Maybe that is the mission for the AI to find out. Maybe Truth Social is a part of it, I hope not. Truth Social? Sorry, I make a lot of references. We have things like AutoGPT, that is kind of a construct of like child processes where you describe a task. My girlfriend played with it today. You describe like a complex task you want to be solved by the AI, and it's like it builds a list of subtasks that are then handed over to like sub-instances of the large language model. It has memory. There we go into the area of vector databases. There it gets a little bit more complicated. And this is supposed to be one step closer to AGI. AGI is the scary one. That's the human level intellect, like artificial general intelligence. Yeah. And we have Baby AGI that is also going in the same direction of like autonomous language models. Google just announced that they will change their search. Of course, they need to like compete with Bing. Bing suddenly, with the integration of the OpenAI tools, has like a lot more to say. Visual GPT was announced by Microsoft, where you can basically iteratively describe what should change in your pictures. I'm personally looking forward to that. And there was a new song released from Drake featuring The Weeknd on TikTok. Was super popular until it was debunked to be by AI. I don't know. I cannot name one Drake or The Weeknd song, but maybe it's just the wrong generation. Also, TikTok is too much for me. Then I will go very quickly through a couple of very interesting applications of generative AI specifically. So, something that I did not use but intend to use is Poised. It's basically like a presentation trainer, so that I use fewer of the fill words I probably used a lot. I will watch the recording later and maybe I will feed it into Poised. We have Character AI. I put this in here because this company has a 1 billion plus valuation at this point. They did not sell anything yet. They did not make $1 single of revenue and they have a billion valuation. That's also extraordinary. This basically character trained large language models. You can talk to historical personalities, celebrities, all these things. Then we have people who take existing language models and train them on the data they have. Bloomberg, for example. Bloomberg probably also known to most people somehow, financial people. They have a lot of like financial texts and they fine-tuned a data model, an existing, I think even an OpenAI model with the data they have. And we had this discussion earlier that Reddit now charges for their API because Reddit possesses insane amounts of text data. And now we have a tool that suddenly makes it interesting for everyone to get data into their hands, textual data. And this will also change like a lot of the economies there. Suddenly it also makes sense why the Twitter API is now so expensive, right? Then we have unique models. I'm not 100% sure about this, but WordTune is basically like a cool plugin where you can go and change the tone of whatever text you write. It's like, oh, I'm a bit cranky, I just wrote an email to my boss, make this sound friendly, something like that. Personally, I find interesting something like chat with any PDF. You drop a PDF in there, it fine-tunes a model-ish in the background, and then you can ask questions about the content of that PDF. There's something in that direction coming with ChatGPT plugins, but I don't want to go in that direction just yet because then I will just go crazy. Because this is amazing stuff coming up. We have open source stuff coming. Stable Diffusion, one of the big ones, one of the big data models, image models. And they have a huge community that, and this was one of the things that I find like most impressive or practical, they have plugins that you can use to basically replicate the pose on any picture. So you can basically like take anyone posing on any scene and then you can replace them with whatever type of like model or whatever you want, robot, I don't know. And this is also open source, you can run this locally, the whole data model, so you don't have to send any data to anyone else, so legally on the safe side. Then we talked about Alpaca and Dolly, those second generation open source, but at least in this case, legally gray area things, because where they're coming from. We have Hugging Face. This is kind of like the GitHub, Docker Hub kind of thing for open source AI stuff. So when you go there, you can basically run your model on their computing instances and you have access to a lot of data sets, so it makes development and experimentation super easy. We have some things made in Germany, at least on my radar, they popped up a lot and they have a cool use case. I think they are from Heidelberg or so. They're basically like correcting your eye position in video calls. So even if you look like off screen or so, it always looks like you're looking into the camera. And personally, I like that because I get nervous when someone reads from a teleprompter and their eyes flicker. I had a friend as a kid and he had a condition, but that still makes me nervous since then. We have big players like, that's horrible. We have big players like NVIDIA, so many people know them from graphics card, for example. They're far ahead of most people in terms of hardware, like consumer and professional hardware actually. I think Microsoft is now catching up on the professional hardware, like AI optimized chips, for example. This is something I would like to show later if someone is interested. Wonder Studio has some Hollywood investors, and you can basically, on the fly, replace people and objects in scenes. That's really insane what's happening there. And Flawless AI goes basically in the same direction, where you can like create a map of, I think they are, at the moment, specialized on facial expressions, and you can change lip movement, you can remove curse words, you can adapt lip movement to dubbed texts and everything. Like I can show the video of this later, or you can have a look yourself. It's called Flawless AI. And every day you saw it in the landscape, there are new services joining the game. A lot of them are just like repurposed kind of things on the existing data models that can be a cool use case when they bring a lot of their own data or very unique ID. There's a lot of garbage in there, but also a lot of diamonds, not necessarily in the rough, but a lot of diamonds. Q&A, then also later with pizza and wine. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Anastasia, also you can call me Anna. I am a Web3 marketing expert in Elfz'n'Trollz, the most magical Web3 marketing agency. And yeah, if you want to introduce yourself, or we start right away.
Hi everybody, I'm Adrian. I'm the CEO at AIBeatz. So it's obviously an AI music startup, and we will talk now about how we create music with AI, I guess.
Awesome. Then, as we have not so much time, I would jump right away. Maybe you can just make a short introduction of what AIBeatz actually do and how is it leveraging a potential and enhancing the musician's experience.
So as I mentioned, at AI, our vision is to empower humans and AI to co-create music. So therefore we are creating a music creation platform that allows basically anybody to instantly create and customize original music in seconds, and without requiring any music theory or production knowledge, basically. So as I mentioned, our approach is going away from one click of a button and get something done. So what we want to achieve is that the human that doesn't know how to create music creates their own music together with the AI and has an impact during the entire music creation process. So it's not a take it or leave it click, it's a whole process between AI and human to create original music.
Nice, and like a bit deeper, so how does AIBeatz differentiate itself from other AI generative platforms in the market, and how actually can it ensure that generated music is unique and like, not simply copying existing songs?
So this is a tricky question, because obviously every AI music startup promises that it's original when it's actually not, usually. What is in our hands, I mean, you can, as human, I'm also a music producer, you can never ensure that nobody in the world will create the same piece of music as you are creating. So as an AI, you also cannot, right? As an AI music startup, you can do all what is in your hands to avoid this. One thing that we are doing since the beginning of the project is to have our own database. So we are not scraping the internet and using copyrighted content to train our AI models. We have been creating our AI or our music data set for the last 3 years with our musicians and music producers. So if we copy somebody, we copy ourselves. And on the other hand, what we are trying to do is what I mentioned before, right? To give the user the power to make changes, right? Most AI platforms, you click something, you select the genre and the musical mood you want to create, and then you create something. And then if you don't like it, you create something new, and then you create something new. What we want to achieve is that you can go deeper in the creation process without knowing music and being able to change the instrument of every track, apply effect, change and regenerate every single track until you get what you like as user and not what the AI is creating for you. This is what basically differentiates us, I guess.
It's really cool and interesting at this point. And I was working in the music industry for some time, so I was like close with like some people who produce music, DJs, singers and stuff, and like sometimes their creativity was just like blowing my mind. So yeah, here it comes like the next question. How do you balance the use of technology with the creativity and like some human touch that is sometimes usually required to produce music?
Well, I think it's like almost answer with the prior question. I mean, one thing is that you help the artist or the creator with a first recommendation. In our case, for example, you select the genre and the vibe of the music, and within 1 second you get the 5 main tracks of your beat: the drums, the kick, the snare, the hat, and a melody and a bass, right? But you can add more melodies, you can add more drums, you can change the instruments of every track, and there is like the creativity of every one of us, right? This makes also like every beat unique. It's the combination of our technology and the original interaction from the human that is unpredictable, right? So, I mean, we opened the beta platform the 15th of December, and we have now 5,000 users. They created more than 25,000 beats, and none of them is the same. So, we don't promise that this will never happen, but the probability is very remote. Right? So.
I get it. Yeah, and yeah, it's really nice answer. And also, like, people are sometimes scared that AI will replace people, and people with AI will not replace humans. Humans with AI will replace humans without AI. It's not an original thought, unfortunately, but it's all over social media now. And yeah, I just wanted to ask, how do you address concerns about the possibility of AI generated music replacing human musicians, or maybe devaluing the art of music production?
Well, it's a reality, right? People that don't want to see that AI will replace a lot of jobs are not living in this reality, I think. Not only in the music industry. I think what will make the difference is, first of all, in this specific case, AI music startups need to make an ethical use of AI models, starting with their own music data. Because as a musician and music producer myself, from the beginning, we try to protect the copyright of the artists, right? So it's difficult to avoid that there is musicians that will have less work, because this is a reality. But on the other hand, you are enabling also a lot of people or users that are starting to make music to jump the barriers that are making their music career, or the starting of their music career, more difficult, right? So it's a give and take. And also, what I think it's really important is to regulate. That there is an AI regulation coming in the EU, and they are already limiting the use of copyrighted music, only copyrighted data, but also music, obviously, for research purposes. You cannot train an AI model with copyrighted data, and then, you know, how Marco showed with the Drake song. Like, you are taking away an art that is being created for, I don't know how many years Drake is making music, 15, 20, and in 1 second you are creating a song that is as good as their music, but for €2. So this is a problem, right? And this needs regulation, and this needs also a period of time, in my opinion, not only in the music industry, where we need to slow down a little bit the AI developments in order to regulate first what is coming to us, right? It's like, I have a feeling that every country and every private company is trying to build the fastest car, you know, and we are forgetting about, okay, what we do with the brakes, and where is this car taking us, right? And there is a lot of black box algorithms that we don't even know how they are capable of, and we are feeding them with a lot of data without knowing. I saw a podcast last time from AI specialist called Max Steggert, I think, and he was telling, like, we are feeding all these algorithms with uncontrollable, like, data, for example, books about, I don't know, mass murdering, or about how to manipulate the humans, right? So this AI is learning these things. So how we can ensure that without a proper regulation, all this information that we are giving to these AI models will not come against us in 5, 10, 1 year, I don't know, right? So there's this, the regulation, I believe, is the key for everything, in innovation especially, because it will affect a lot of humans. There is a older generation from people that are 45, 50, 55 that will not have time to adapt to this technological evolution and will have to deal with the consequences. In the music industry as well, but in the music industry, I think it's, first of all, we are not dealing with personal data and it's like a low risk area. And I believe that in the music industry, it's the musicians that are taking more advantage of AI, because it's actually the musicians that are using it. It's like, it's giving you endless inspiration. Instead of using, I don't know, 1.5, 2.5 hours to make a chord progression, synthesize your sound, you can get an instant idea and then take it, drag and drop in your digital audio workstation and work on it and transform it completely, right? So it's a tool that enhances creativity, right? And enables other persons to start where they couldn't start before, right? But there is what Marco was showing about Stable Diffusion, right? They are not large language models like in our case what we use with symbolic music. They create music based off image processing. And this is a tricky thing because you can, how it works is you take an image of a MP3 of a wave file, you take the wave, the frequency and the amplitude, and you tag it with, okay, this is a trap song with a violin and blah blah, no? Tempo, all the musical parameters. But then you can scan the whole internet, the whole MP3s that are copyrighted, and this is actually what Stable Diffusion did. They are now being sued in the US, and also Google LM, also an incredible project from Google, but they didn't release it because they used, I think, I don't know, like it was 150,000 hours of music that is not theirs. So, I mean, you know, this is the thing, that we need to protect the artist. And this is what we try to do at AIBeatz.
Yeah, I think like especially in the music industry, the copyright problem is huge. And yeah, like to regulate all this thing is really important. And yeah, maybe we need this 6 months break from developing something better than GPT in all industries. But yeah, I really want to take this advantage of being here on stage with you, the person who lives and breathes with AI, living in this industry 24/7. And because I think mostly people learned about AI with the boom of ChatGPT. And definitely ChatGPT is still one of the hottest topics and still is on the spot right now. But for you, what maybe other technologies or initiatives are on your radar that are interesting?
Well, I think Marco gave a master about this, so I don't need to repeat myself. Obviously, the big tech companies, OpenAI is already working. I mean, it's already launched GPT-4, probably working in GPT-5 or GPT-10. I don't know, you know, and it's quite a little bit scary what is coming, to be honest. But I think we just need to adapt to the new situation. So, as I mentioned, so he showed everything, basically. I didn't miss anything, so I will not repeat myself. Maybe Bart from Google, I didn't see, but which is being also released in the US and UK, but he mentioned absolutely everything.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. It was an amazing presentation. I did a photo of everything. And yeah, I think that everyone in this room, and me personally as well, we are all excited about the potential of AI. But what do you see as its biggest limitation right now?
Well, limitations, I mean, he already explained, you know, what you need to rework, and in case of coding, go every line and rework it, especially in the music industry, which I think that it's better that I focus there, because Marco spoke about everything. Today, there is still in the ears of a musician, I would say in 95% of the cases they could say if it's done with AI or done by a human, right? Of course, music is mathematics. There is a limited number of notes, there is a limited number of note like combinations, a limited number of timbres. Everything is like, it's mathematical, right? That's why AI can learn it so well. But then all the human factors come into play, you know, how to play a note, what kind of velocity the notes have, like how strong I hit the note, if I play with swing, if I'm playing with groove. So these kind of human factors that make human music so much better. And we need to do it, we need to say it, it's better than AI music. Not in terms of music complexity, but in terms of execution. Nowadays, in my ears, you cannot compare human music with AI. But, as I mentioned, I don't see any limitation in what AI will be capable to do in the next years. I mean, he already mentioned, we are talking about artificial general intelligence, right? So this is not only executing a task, this is understanding and learning to learn something, like a human. So if we reach this kind of technology, you can teach theoretically the AGI to play an instrument like a human. So, and there are new questions and new answers need to appear probably.
Yeah, I have the feeling like the speed that AI is developing with is just crazy, and yeah, what was planned to take 10 years, it took like 2 months. And yeah, we'll see what will be happening next year. Really excited about it. And Adrian, me personally, I am really concerned about my security, about my data, and I think people in Web3, blockchain industry, they also are really careful about their personal data, about their security in general, and just like what with their information. So could you talk about some potential implications of AI for data protection, and how can actually people protect themselves and protect their personal information when they're communicating with AI systems?
Well, I'm not a lawyer, but I think common sense is always a good approach. So I would always recommend read the terms of use. This is the key of everything regarding your personal data. As far as I know, the GDPR says that in order to process personal data where an algorithm is involved, it has to be lawfully, fairly, and transparent, in a transparent manner, and it has to be collected only for a specific and a legitimate matter. So this means a couple of things. First of all, they cannot process your data with a black box algorithm, which means that they don't know exactly how the algorithm works inside. It has to be a white box algorithm, right? And you need always to give the consent for the specific purpose, right? And then on the other hand, in terms of profiling and decision making that involve an algorithm, there is always the must to be a person in the loop that takes the last decision, right? So imagine an example of a credit system that is studying if you are suitable for a credit or not. You can put all your personal data in the algorithm, then they will process, and then you will get an answer, yes or no. The human needs to process all this data, analyze this data, give you an information about why or why not, and take the decision ultimately. So I believe that as soon as the human is still in the loop, the human will be always more protected. But I mean, if you read the terms of use for TikTok, read. If you didn't do it, read it, because then I don't know if you have TikTok, but you would probably not have it anymore. So terms of use is super important to know who is taking your data for what it's being used. Like in TikTok, they say that they can use your microphone to listen to you. Like, I don't know if somebody experienced this, but sometimes You are speaking about something and suddenly you get an advertisement in your phone. This is not casually. It's like it's happening. So.
Yeah, it's always true when you're just talking about something in the room about new washing machine, and then you have all the ads on Instagram everywhere. Buy this washing machine. But yeah, it's true. Read terms is definitely important. And yeah, I would just maybe ask a couple more questions. What advice or maybe some tips you would give to someone who uses AI or AIBeatz, especially for the first time? Like they never used AI before and they want to start to dive into this topic, into this industry, and just basically use it. What would you advise to them?
Well, I mean, AIBeatz is a beat-making platform that is available online. You have a help button that explains you how to make your first beat, so click on it and create your first beat, you know, and you have any questions, text to the chat, we are there helping you, and I don't know, I think these kind of tools are cool because depending on what you want, you can use it like for your purpose, right? If I am a music producer, maybe I don't need a professional sound design because I know how to do it, but I use AIBeatz for creating note sequences that it would take me maybe hours to create, for example. Another person that is a vocalist in this case, they don't have a digital audio workstation where they can record themselves, or they don't have the capacity or the knowledge to create music. So for them, it's solving another problem. So they can go there, create the music, record themselves, and use the music freely because they get all the rights to use it. So I don't know, like depending on what is your need, you can use it how you want in this case.
Okay, now I want to create music. And yeah, I think my last question before we go to Q&A from our audience, it's actually not my question, a friend of mine asked me to ask this question. Yeah, so basically, what advice would you give to someone who want to pursue a career in AI? So what skills and knowledge would they need to reach success in this industry?
Well, I'm not an engineer, so I studied business management. I'm a music producer, so maybe Marco is the best to answer this question. What I experienced, at least in AIBeatz, it's super important. Obviously, have the technical knowledge and computer science and this for the AI part. But I experienced that depending on in which area you want to apply this AI, it's super important to have knowledge also in this area. Like if you want to use AI in music, it's always beneficial that you have some kind of music theory knowledge, or if you use it in image, that you have some graphic design experience and so on. So it's not only AI, it's also where to apply it and what kind of knowledge you get from this specific area. But yeah, I think that this is it. So.
I think that's everything from my side, and thank you for this discussion. And yeah, it was really nice to just talk to someone who is into this industry, yeah, living and working, creating something in it. Yeah, thank you for this chat, and maybe someone from the audience have questions, or I'll give the mic.
Yeah, I can pass the microphone if needed. Anyone has some questions? Okay, we have one. There you go.
Thank you. Just a general question regarding the copyright stuff. I was thinking about this a long time. It's the same for images, but let's keep it to the music thing. When you are training your model with thousands of music data set, is it really a copyright problem? I give you one example. I'm a musician as well, and I'm very inspired with music I'm listening to. So every music I produce is somehow made of the music I'm listening to. Yeah. So the question is now, when I'm an AI, where's the difference? So is it really a copyright problem? You said so far yes, but I'm curious about more deeper thoughts about this. Mm-hmm.
So one thing is to get inspired. We all get inspired. That's why it's very difficult to ensure that you will not create something that is created by somebody else if we listen all the same artists and we are inspired by the same people, right? But legally, it's a copyright issue because you are not allowed to scan a copyright music. without the allowance of the owner of this copyrighted item, right? So this is the first thing. So get inspired, you can get inspired, of course, right? But you don't have the allowance of the person that owns this music to scan it. This is the main thing, legally thing. Yes.
All right. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Any more questions? There. There? Okay.
Hi, thanks. So this is related to his question, but it's a practical one. So like in terms of when you have the data, how do you have to track it? Do you have to keep a manifest? How do you like verify that you own the copyright, or is anything required in that regard?
Again, sorry.
So like, so in terms of so it's related to his question,
Yes.
which is like in terms of the training data, are you required to track that in any way? Like, do you need to keep a manifest? Is there any kind of requirement on like where your files are coming from, or?
I believe that as soon as somebody reclaims that something created in your platform is copyrighted, you will have a visit and they will check if all your data is compliant. We have all our data labeled, stored. We have a date of creation in our database, so we can show when it was created, by whom, and so on. But as he said already, right? Also, the musicians and music producers that created our data set are inspired by somebody. So that's why we don't ensure that our music is 100% original. We put all the efforts necessary that this doesn't happen, and try that to have a quality check in everything that is fed in the database, and yeah, this is all what we can do actually. Yeah.
Any more questions? One?
I was just wondering, is there any way to create value for musicians? I'm discovering your platform right now, so sorry if this is a rookie question, but is there any direction, or with AIBeatz, are you guys going towards maybe, what would you call it, monetization or royalties? Is there anything like that? No?
So the main goal is like to create more music and enable people to create more music. So our business model is based in a subscription model where the user pays a monthly fee, and then they can use the platform however they want. They have a limited number of trackouts that they can, like high quality trackouts they can download every month, but then they can use it, it's royalty free music, so we don't ask them later for anything. We don't track it, or we just want them, to be able to create more music. This is it. So, of course, we want to live from it, but we are not tracking the whole creations that we sell and getting like a royalty for it. It's not our approach. There are other platforms that are doing that they don't charge you when you create the music, but they track the music you create with their platform and get royalty afterwards. We think that it's also easier, like pay for the use and it's yours. Yeah.
We have another question on the back.
Just regarding that, what about the copyright when I do music from you or with you? Do you own the music, or is it my music?
It's the copyright is from AIBeatz.
100%.
100%.
Okay.
And you own the use rights.
Cool. Okay, that sounds very good. Thank you.
Any more questions here in the back? Anyone? One question? There you go.
So, hello. You said you are training your AI system with your music only.
Mm-hmm.
So, are you not limiting? Like you have like certain kind of genres and.
Sorry?
So, are you limiting yourself the capability of the AI? Just training with your musicians only and not including all sets available in the market?
What do you mean with all sets in the market?
I mean, you cannot have all kind of music. I'm not a music guy, but still, then your is produced by your musicians. So this is just one learning curve.
So the base of our database is, yes. So we have like two parts. One is our database that is created, or the original database that is created by our musicians and music producers. But then we have an AI algorithm that creates music. So we are already in the position of feeding our database with our AI generated music too. Exactly. So we are like using our algorithm to put more music in our database. Of course, there is a human quality check, but it's trained with our music and generated by our proprietary algorithm as well.
Yeah, so then don't you have a closed loop, like you don't really see all...
No, but we are constantly putting new music in the... Yeah, we have...
You are getting here, it's just coming from there itself, right? So you are not really generating a new information from there.
We have 6 music producers that are uploading around 150 new songs every day that are not in the platform, I mean in the database, right? So, and actually the more data you have, the better your algorithms will work. So, yes.
So don't you think of including all others?
But I know what you mean, but it's, in our case, it's like going away from our company culture. Like, first of all, we are focused more on urban music, so trap, rap, hip hop, Afro trap, all this kind of music. First of all, because we have the knowledge in our music, like we are, all of us, like urban music producers. But I don't know how you want to create more music that is not created by musicians, and from where you get it. You buy it, you take it from another database where you don't have copyright, how you do it?
I don't have any idea of that. Somebody is coming, like any competitor to you, and he's having a bit more data, bigger data set, and he can be better than you, right?
Yes, but from where they have the data. It's not an easy task to do, right? And it takes time. It took us three years to create our database. And first 1.5 years we trained our algorithms. The music that was coming out was not competitive. So we decided, okay, we need more data, we need more time to create this data, but at the end of the day, when next year the whole EU regulation comes into play and they force you to have your own database, you will have a problem if you have data in your database that is not created by yourself. And this is actually happening. Like we have 2 competitors, they are not in the market anymore, because they know that until 2024 they will change their whole database. And it's just it's a strategic decision in this case. So we could have a much bigger database and maybe create better music and more genres if we would have go another way, but we decided to go this way.
Just one more technical question. So if you train your data set with all available music,
with all?
You train your AI system
things correctly only because nobody is telling that you are making something not correct, right? I mean, at least this is, in my case, I would try to do everything legally. It doesn't matter if somebody comes to me or not, you know?
There are bad players in market as well, right?
Sorry?
There are bad players in market who can do it, right? So for you, it's maybe you are the honest one, the most honest guy.
In my eyes, it's the only way to do it.
Yeah, it's a very hard thing. I mean, we are.
It is.
It is.
But
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
We have time to just one more question. I will give it here to Victoria, and probably it's the last one.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It was very, very interesting to hear more about leveraging AI in the creative industry. I would like to know if you can imagine using blockchain to finalize this whole, and what's your thoughts on that? Because it would totally make sense once you created the music.
Here comes the answer.
So we are giving it a thought for a long time already, because I mean, if we are trying to offer original music. It's a logical step. I already talked with Marco before to offer exclusive licenses, for example, through NFTs, music NFTs. So it's definitely something that makes totally sense. We are just waiting to see how the market evolves, right? Last year when we started to have this idea, it was almost like priority number one. We need to do it. And then, you know, then the whole hype decreases a little bit, and I'm just a friend of doing something that has totally sense and adds value. We can also offer like exclusive licenses without NFTs. We just need to see what more added value it brings. But it's definitely in our agenda, so we can talk about it.
Okay, so thank you so much, Anastasia and Adrian.